To understand why social innovation, or in general innovation, is so important for our world, you just have to read the newspaper every morning. So you can read about climate change, you can read about war, you can read about poverty, you can read about unemployment, you can read about refugees in need, and so on and so on. So we have global, regional and individual challenges. And the question is, who is responsible to find a solution for all these challenges? Governments, states were never really good innovators. They have to set the framework, but to find the real innovation, we need unreasonable people. When you look in the past, the most of the innovations are created by individuals. And a good message is there are more and more young people I meet in my courses and I see in that world who are interested in making a difference in that world. They want to create value. Just to tell you my definition of social entrepreneurship and social innovation. For me, it's about a project, to implement a project which is financially sustainable, which is scalable, and the main goal of such a project is to create added value for society. And this in a field in which no other business found a good solution or which is financially unlucrative for other companies. So just let's give you an example about how such innovation could look like. There's a startup in Germany, it's created somewhere last year, Chiron University. They had the vision to give refugees from abroad the chance to educate themselves. And so they took the existing MOOCs from well-known universities to create certain courses so that they could set up a degree program for the students. And so they could offer to the refugees 2 years program, an online program with existing MOOCs, and then they had again cooperations with universities so they could do the last year to get their master degree or bachelor degree. So what can we learn from such a project? I think most important is timing. It depends when you start your business. So when they would have done this business 2 years before, nobody would have been interested in the refugees, at least in Europe. So when they would start this project 2 years later, I think there would be so many solutions already on the market that it would be really difficult to create an USP with this project. And the second important thing what we can learn from this project, co-create. Don't start from the scratch, but think about where you are really good at and take content and take the resources from the other ones which could be your partners. I would like to tell you another story. It's about Pipu. This is an architect from Stockholm and he had a project in Mumbai. And what he recognized is that the most houses there don't have any toilet. So, and you could recognize that in an unhygienic environment. When he talked with people, they didn't like that they didn't have any privacy. And especially it was a really big problem for people, for ill people who couldn't leave the house. So he had a big vision to give these people a personal toilet. But he didn't have any solution, but he had a big vision. When he went home, so he started to think about, he asked friends, he asked colleagues, he asked organizations, and he asked the students to work with him on the solutions. And so after a while, discussing, he thought now he has the right solution. It was a plastic bag. And then he needed more than 1 year to develop a plastic bag, which is biodegradable, which is tight, and most important, which is cheap. because we need these plastic bags in developing countries. So he was really exciting and wanted to sell these plastic bags, and at the beginning he had some success because he wanted to sell it in areas after a disaster, but then he wanted to introduce these plastic bags and to sell it also in slums. But people didn't like his solution. They didn't want to pay for such a plastic bag, and they even didn't like that somebody from outside wanted to tell him how to do their business. So he thought how to introduce this plastic bag because it would have a tremendous impact for the environment in that countries. And then he closed the cycle. He had the idea to buy back the filled plastic bags. And so suddenly people liked that solution because they could earn money. They could come home, especially children were really proud to earn money. And even he had a business model because he could sell the filled bags to make dung out of it. And this would help again the farmers for their countryside. So what can we learn from this project? I think first it's important to have a vision again. Because when you are not committed, you wouldn't start. That's my thing. The second thing, innovation is a process. So don't have the great idea and then the solution is there. But you have to develop the solution with time. And you have to adapt your idea slowly to create a solution and afterwards to create a holistic business model. So, the important thing is to start an innovation process, have a vision, because this allows you to see the presence from the future. And this is something completely different than when you see the future from the present. Because when you take the present, you make little steps, but you always keep in mind the situation, how it is. When you start to see the future, then you can create different ideas. You can easily think out of the box. What does this mean for our innovation process? So when you have an impulse, first create this vision we talked a lot about. Because this gives you also the motivation to take the risk to start a business. And it gives you also the opportunity to convince other people to support you. And this is what you should do. First think about what you are good at and then look for cooperation partners. Whom do you know who could help you? And this could be partners from outside, this could be cooperation partners, this could be government, this could be society, whomever. Because when you don't have a goal in mind, but you create your solution with time, you can create the future. And you don't have to search the needle in a haystack. So therefore, don't stick to a certain goal. So, when you now thought about whom could help you, so you ask people and you get input from outside, what people really need, so you know more about why they would need a new innovation. What is the problem? What are the wishes of your target group? And then you go back to the future and you adapt your vision a bit more to reality. So you go back again, you co-create, you ask people how to improve your solution, and with time you understand what they really could need to overcome the problem they have. So you go again to the future and you adapt with your new solution again your vision. Then you go back to the present and you develop a holistic business model. And a business model is, you know what is the USP, you know what is the architecture of your business, and you know how could you earn money so that you are financially sustainable. But this is not enough. Then you have to go out, you have to test it again, and then you have to adapt your solution and your business model again. And this process is a really, really difficult situation, because normally we are used to have already a fixed problem, to know the solution, and so we just have to develop the solution. And now you have to live in uncertainty. You cannot measure anymore milestones because you don't know where you want to go. Because you plan in real time. You make decisions during the process. Always in a certain situation. But this also has some advantages for you. Because it's more difficult to fail. Because when you don't know what are the next step, failure are an experience. And also when you have some impact from outside and some impulses from outside, they don't destroy your goal, but they give you new input to develop further. And in most projects, the influences from outside are more important than your own influence. So, altogether, what you need. First thing we talked about yourself and about the person of an entrepreneur who is really important for such a social innovation. And you have a bit to be a yin-yang as an entrepreneur. So leadership is important on one side, management is important on the other side. To be active and to start a project, this is really, really important. On the other hand side, you have to be reflective. So, uncertainty is important. You have to accept uncertainty and you have to feel comfortable. On the other side, you have to plan your project and you have to bring it to the market. You have to be egocentric and you have to be convinced about your own idea. On the other side, you have to be empathic with your customers, with your cooperation partners, and to adapt your solution on the needs of the other ones. Of course, you would like to find a financial model, so to earn money, to finance your activities, and even to scale afterwards and to grow. On the other hand, more important and the main goal is to make social impact. So, and what can we say about the innovation process, about the social innovation process? First, create a strong vision and imagine the future. Second, concentrate on your means and not on a goal. Develop your goal during the process. So be empathic and understand your opportunity. Co-create. It's really important to develop your solution with the help of the other ones. It's important to accept this uncertainty. So you cannot measure any more milestones, but you have to control the process. That you are making progress all the time and that you make your decisions during the process. And think systemic. And in a system you have a lot of different stakeholders, you have a certain culture, you have a certain society, and you have to recognize all these different levels to create this business model and to adapt it all the time to the new circumstances. And of course, you not only have to think about new solution, but when you implement your idea, you have to manage the routine parts of the innovation process and you should measure the impact. So have some measures for measuring the impact because this helps you to make your project visible for external society. I think when you follow some of these principles, you have the good chance and you have a big lever to change the world with your power. Thank you.